Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This video is going to be kind of not out of line, but it's not like any of my other videos. I don't do a lot of topics. I talk about records and, new music that's coming out. I do reviews, unboxings, contests, all that good stuff, but I don't really stir up a lot of discussion, or if I ever try to do like a thread, they usually fall right into the dirt. They're never really picked up by a large group of people. I appreciate those that do, but anyway, so I don't know how many threads I'm going to try to start anymore, but this is just something I was thinking about doing something different. And what I want to talk about is the last time that an album has blown you away. Now, I'm not talking about an album that you just like a lot, like an album that's good. I mean, like an album that you heard it and you're like, why hasn't this always existed? Um, I know in the past few years I've really broadened my horizons more in music, especially by watching your videos here on YouTube and artists that I've never heard of, or albums by artists that I've never listened to. It's finally given me the incentive to go out and purchase or listen to those albums. And through all that, a lot of the albums that I come across are obviously older albums, and there are times I can be just completely blown away by an older album. Like the last time that I was blown away by the sound of an album, I just recently listened to well, it's right here. Um, my apologies. Oh, there it is. 11/17/70 by Elton John. Let me pull it down. The live album by Elton John. Obviously, um, you know, over 50 years old. Blew me away, just the live performance on this album. Raw. It's just him, Dee Murray, and Nigel Olsson. Incredible record. Blew me away. But the more I sit and think about albums that have come out, I'm going to use the last decade as my scale here. The number of newer albums that come out, even from artists that I like, that I follow, though there are a lot of really good albums that come out, there something about that, being just completely blown away by an album has seemed to fade more and more. Again, I'm not saying that I don't dislike music that's coming out, and I'm about to show a few examples of albums that I love but didn't blow me away. But I feel like, what's coming back is stuff that we've heard before, or stuff that's been done by this particular artist or an artist, people that are, they come back and they start doing, rockabilly. Well, that's cool, to hear a rockabilly song in 2022, but, it's been done for 70 years now. And the people that are mainstream follow that pop formula that's so popular on the radio, and we all know what that sounds like. It's not good. I have a short stack of CDs here that I can truly say blew me away in the last 10 years, and they're albums that came out in the last 10 years. I'm not talking about albums like this, like this. These are albums that have come out in the last few years. So, for example, here are a few albums that I really, really love. Like, I love these albums, love these records, and have listened to them countless times each. But, though at the time I'm listening to it, I'm like, man, this is so good. It didn't necessarily, blow me completely aback, in my chair here. So, for example, this album here, I've talked about several times. Three Chords and the Truth by Van Morrison came out in 2019. It was a return to form for Van after he'd put out a few albums like The Prophet Speaks, Versatile, Roll with the Punches, where he had some original stuff on there, but he was also doing some, jazz, some standards. He was re-recording a few of his own tracks, and it just didn't seem like his heart was in it. And then this album came out, and it sounded, several of the tracks sounded so much like Astral Weeks. He had a few of the players that were on Astral Weeks on a few of these songs. You can really hear it on the first track called March Winds in February. The guitar sounds very, Sweet Thing, um, Madame George, stuff like that. And then, he's got a duet on here with Bill Medley from the Righteous Brothers. You've obviously got some cranky Van on here, songs like Nobody in Charge, You Don't Understand, and Read Between the Lines. But then he goes back. He does a song called Early Days about early rock and roll. Three Chords in the Truth, which is, a classic line about, that's all a country song needs is three chords in the truth. He does a funny song called Bags Under My Eyes where he talks about life on the road. And then he finishes with a song called Days Gone By, in which he utilizes the melody of Auld Lang Syne. So that's an album that I really loved. Another one that I've talked about before, the Wildfeathers. This is their latest, called Alvarado. Just straight ahead rock and roll, but it doesn't break new ground. This album by Camp, called Lavender Days, in contention for my favorite album of the year. But again, it's banjo acoustic music, and it's not really going new places. The latest from The Head and the Heart, Every Shade of Blue, again, kind of mainstream. Not my favorite by them, but it's a grower, and I like it a lot. But it's also got quite a few bloated tracks on there as well. The two albums by Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs, love these albums. But again, it's straight ahead blues rock, jangle rock, classic Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers sound. And nothing against, I love these albums, but again, nothing spectacular. This is another one by Liam Gallagher from Oasis, called Why Me Not, Why Me, Why Not. Again, it's got that classic Oasis sound, but then it's got some fluff on here like Halo, Be Still, All Right Now. It's a great rock and roll album, and I highly recommend picking this up. And I love to hear Liam's voice back to its fullest potential on these last few solo albums. Great stuff. Another album in contention for the best of the year for me, Now and the Evermore by Colin Hay from Men at Work. Absolutely killer, folky, pop album by Colin Hay. His voice is in perfect form. He's got, guys on here like Ringo Starr. I want to say some of the guys from the All-Star Band are on here. Catchy stuff. A Few Stars Apart, Lucas Nelson. Again, a great rock and roll album. And then Rock Bottom Rhapsody by Pokey Lafarge. Fantastic album. But they're all just really good albums. They didn't blow my socks off. Maybe a song or two, but not the full album. However, albums like Way Out West by Marty Stuart. Has this stuff been done before? It has, but this is coming from a country artist doing, essentially it's a country artist doing the Byrds or doing Tom Petty. Really moody, makes you feel like you're out in the desert, but also like in the middle of Bakersfield, California. Way Out West, I've touted it so much. And that's kind of on the line of the other albums that I showed versus really these last four are ones that just completely blew me away when I heard them. This one right here, Western Stars by Bruce Springsteen. Solo album by Bruce, done in the style of Glenn Campbell and Jimmy Webb with orchestra, that 60s kind of country pop sound to it. Bruce is in great voice on it. And I mean, it's just a beautiful record. The first time that I listened to it once all the way through, I called it a masterpiece. I still stand by it. It's absolutely stunning. Blew me away. Came out in 2019. So that's one that really just took me aback. Another one that blew me away the first time I heard it, The Monkees, Good Times. I've talked about this album so much. I think what blew me away by it was not the fact that it's, you know, a great record. I mean, it's, you know, it's standard 60s pop, but done in, you know, 2016. But the fact that the Monkees, the Surviving Monkeys, sounded so good on this, and that they had such a great pool of songs to pull from. I mean, this was the album that made me a Monkees fan. Um, I didn't really know the Monkees other than their big hits. I knew I'm a Believer and Daydream Believer, and you know, maybe like Stepping Stone and some of the stuff on the greatest hits. But this is the album that made me a fan of the Monkees, and I've listened to this album probably 200 times. It is just a stunning, perfect album, and you know, it blew me away. Another one, Born and Raised by John Mayer. I've talked about this. It's in my favorite albums list. It's in my top 10 favorite albums of all time. Um, it's you know, John Mayer going from, you know, his first couple albums being really bluesy to then going into like the pop world with, you know, the radio hits and stuff like that, to then finally becoming John Mayer, the full-fledged artist. And this album came out. This just cuts the mark at 10 years. It came out in 2012. I cannot say enough about this album. It is just a masterpiece in songwriting and musicality, and Mayer's singing and his playing. Um, I mean, I heard it and I could not get enough. I wore this thing out. I mean, it is just that good. Um, and, you know, he's got guys like Graham Nash and David Crosby on it. So, you know, he's respected in the music world. And lastly, you all know what I'm going to say here. This album right here, Long Lost. And out of those other albums that I showed, those last three, this album really, really, you know, made my head spin when I heard it. Is every song a gem on this album? No. But it's a concept album. It sounds like you're listening to a radio program. There's like talking interludes between it. It's dreamy. It's well written, beautiful lyrics into it. It's got, you know, elements of rockabilly, which is funny that I mentioned that, but it's not rockabilly like the Stray Cats. It's not straight ahead. It's covered in moody soundscapes and, you know, echo effects and things like that. The album, of course, is Long Lost by Lord Huron. It starts off with a song called The Moon Doesn't Mind. Finishes with a 14-minute ambient track called Time's Blur. Great songs on here like Not Dead Yet, Drops in the Lake, the title track Long Lost, Love Me Like You Used To, and then the, you know, creme de la creme of songwriting, I Lied. It's a duet with Alison Pontier. Just for an example of some of the lyrics here. I told you I'd be coming back for you, but I'm not. I'm going way out where the world will never find me. I made a claim that I would dance until we're bones with my bride. I told you I would never leave you all alone, but I lied. That's just perfect songwriting. And this is the album of all albums to me in the last few years that has just completely turned my head sideways. With all that being said, it's a shame that, you know, there aren't more albums coming out that just completely push me back. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'd love to know what y'all think. Hope this made sense, what I'm trying to say here. Let me know in the comments what you think. Make your own video, and I look forward to catching up. In the meantime, y'all be good. Take care. Talk to y'all real soon. Bye now.